Force feedback is a very common term that you'd be very familiar with if you're into sim racing at all, but in the flight simming world, it's much less common, but one manufacturer is changing that. MOZA, one of the biggest names in sim racing, now has a flight simming line, and this right here is a force feedback base for a flight stick, and they sent me both. Let's check them out. Starting with the base here, this I've already taken out, but we'll do a little unboxing for you guys, is a hefty boy. So this base, which is all metal and a very, very solid, high quality feeling construction, is 9 Newton meters. So if you're familiar with sim racing, 9 is maybe somewhere in the middle, not super high, not super low, but to keep in mind, that's for a wheel. I don't know how 9 Newton meters is going to transfer to a stick setup like this. Is 9 a lot? Is 9 a little? I'm not sure. We're gonna try to find out today. But first impressions, this thing is, it weighs a lot. I don't know how much it weighs, but it is very high quality feeling, very cool. But what's more important, or not even more important, but something very interesting, the stick itself, which, if you can't tell, this uses the same mounting as the Thrustmaster Warthog, which I have. So you can put that Thrustmaster stick on this one, or any other sticks that are compatible with that Thrustmaster base, which is a huge component. Modularity is obviously very important, but let's get their stick out and we can compare it to Thrustmasters. So here's our Thrustmaster stick, and this is the MOZA stick. Now, I've already taken a look at this, and there's a few important things to note. Firstly, the stick is noticeably lighter than the Thrustmaster stick. Now, if you can't tell already, these are both modeled, they're basically F-16 sticks slash Warthog sticks. Very similar, except that the MOZA one has this little pod on the side of it, which you can take off. But this would be cool for maybe flaps, or I don't know what it's actually used for in a real plane, but you can obviously bind it to whatever you want. Now, like I said, this one is much heavier. I will show you all the weight difference. So we've got our scale here. First, we will do the MOZA stick. I'll do it in grams, I guess, why not? 540 grams, which would put it at around a pound, a little more than a pound. And then the Thrustmaster stick, can I balance it? The Thrustmaster stick, which is over a kilogram, which is 2.2 pounds. So about double the weight for this one, but this is still metal. This one is just made out of aluminum. Normally, when you think of quality, you think of, oh, weight. It weighs a lot, it feels good. But considering this is going on a force feedback base, the lighter it is, the more force feedback you will feel. Just like in sim racing, if you have a heavier wheel, you're gonna feel the force feedback less because a lot of that force feedback is going into moving the wheel itself versus moving your hands while they're on the wheel. So a lighter stick, I would say, is better in this case, and it's still metal, it's aluminum, so there's nothing really to be mad at there. Now, how do the buttons feel? That's obviously hugely important. I'll give you all some, I'll pull them up to my chest here so you can hear with the mic. Firstly, we will do Thrustmaster. So this is Thrustmaster buttons. I'll try to do them all in the same order. The trim one doesn't make much noise. A lot of them are very quiet. They are solid feeling buttons though. Now we will go over to the MOZA one. I'll try to keep this little thing on the bottom quiet for you guys. 2-stage trigger there. A lot more tactile feel on the trim here. That's a lot more tactile than this. This feels like you're just kind of, there's not really a point where it clicks. You're just kind of pushing it. It's more linear. And this is, there's a distinct point where it's activated, which is kind of nice. Now, for the weapons release button, it's kind of the opposite. This is more linear throughout, and then this has more of an actual point. Anyway, both sticks feel nice. It's kind of down to personal preference for how the buttons feel and stuff. They're both metal construction, which is great. This is much lighter though, so if you're gonna feel it, this is going to feel cheaper in your hand versus the Thrustmaster one. So we have our stick all hooked up here. I haven't turned it on yet. It's mounted to our desk with this mount as well. And as you can see, with it off, it's just floppy, which is really interesting because you don't get that experience with any other stick that isn't force feedback. There's a power button on the back here. Let's turn it on. I don't know if it's gonna go straight up just by turning it on or if we'll have to open the software, but let's see. That was crazy, okay? That is, that's exciting. Oh my gosh. I wish y'all could feel this. This feels insane. I cannot wait to get in the sim and see how it feels. That is such a weird, knowing that it's just a motor pushing against me. I mean, it's a decent, I'm giving it decent, like this is way more pressure than my current stick takes. That's very cool. Anyway, let's open this software up and get it set up. Okay, so I've just downloaded and installed MOZA Cockpit. I've used MOZA Pit House for a long time for the other stuff, and it works really well. As you can see, it already detected that I have the stick and I have the bass. Now they're coming out with rudder pedals, which I think they're gonna send me, so that'll be cool because my rudder pedals are very old, and a throttle as well, which is super exciting. Anyway, let's take a look at the software, see how simple it is to set up, and then we'll go from there. So here you can choose the different grips. They do have a Airbus one that's only, I think, $79. That one is not metal. I checked earlier today, so that'd be cool. This tells you all the different buttons and stuff. As you can see, it's sensing when I'm pressing buttons. As you can see, there's that two-stage trigger. So stage 1, and then there's a click all the way in, stage 2. Super simple. I can't imagine there's a lot to do in here except, okay, so here we go. You can change how much torque can come out of your force feedback base, things like that. There's also, oh, this is cool. So there's presets for different sims. So if you want a different inertia for Microsoft Flight Sim versus DCS, you can do that. Very cool. This is similar to, at least all these terms are very similar to in sim racing. So if you're familiar with that. And then on the right here, put it on screen so you can see it. On the right, it's showing where I'm pushing. So as you can see, by default, it's going a little further forward. So we can calibrate this. Let's do auto calibration. Oh, it's moving. You can see that. That's very cool. It's completely silent also, which is good. You don't want a loud force feedback base. We'll let it calibrate itself. Calibration successful. Going left still. Calibration complete. And then there we go. So still a little bit forward. I wonder if that's just the weight of the stick is going to push it forward slightly. I'm sure I could go here and then recalibrate so it stays centered. But very cool. Software, super simple to use. Let's get in a sim and actually fly this for the first time. Okay, so SR22, this makes more sense since we actually have a stick in this plane. Again, making sure, yes, I can feel the flaps and stuff. Let's see how taxiing feels. Okay, so I can feel little vibrations. I think it might just be the vibration from the propeller. It may not be anything super special. Let's get our flaps going here. Slow down a little bit. Let's get on this runway. We'll see if I can feel that vibration more when I throttle up fully. I would think I could. Okay, yep, I can definitely feel it. It's not super, I did turn it down a lot, the propeller rumble, but you can definitely feel it as well. Let's see if we can take off here. Oh yeah. Oh, this is some nice, wow. You can really feel some feedback in this. For reference, all I did last night was set up my keybind so that I could actually fly in Microsoft Flight Sim. We're also going to try DCS later because I believe it has been more properly optimized for DCS. So we'll try DCS as well later and see how that feels with aftermarkers and everything. But so far, it's feeling pretty good. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, that felt cool. Oh, the resistance. That is so cool. So you can feel when you're moving faster, you can feel that it's harder to move it because there's more air going over the control surfaces. So you're having to overcome more. Okay, let's try to land this thing and then we will switch to the A320. We'll use the A320 preset and see how that feels. And then we will, we'll go from there. Here we go. Come on, baby. Oh yeah. So I wish there was a little more, like when you touch down, you don't get much jolt. Maybe that's a setting I need to change, but it would be nice to get some kind of, some feedback there when you actually touch down, because you don't get much. But as far as the feel in air, it feels wonderful. And actually seeing, like feeling the, whoops, I'm about to go off the runway, but feeling the flaps move is such a cool feeling. Okay, so I feel some vibration by default here. There's our stick. I wonder if this is what an A320 stick actually feels like. That would be interesting to see. Okay, so I can feel flaps. Let's see, spoilers. I can feel them a little bit, but I assume when we're in air, we'll be able to feel them a lot more because they're actually, you know, acting against wind. Okay, power up. Oh, this thing is kind of moving around. And all of this, you got to remember, you'll need to dial this in. And you can make your own preset. So if you want to preset just for a, you know, whatever plane, it doesn't matter. You can make your own presets and you'll have to dial it in for each plane that you fly a lot. And then obviously you could have like a general setting for just random planes. Okay, there's 100 knots. You don't feel a ton. I wish you got to feel a little more vibrations on the ground, like I was saying. I guess I could turn that up. 130 knots, 140. Try to rotate here. Ooh, not a little bit wobbly there. Gear coming up. Okay, that's cool. You can feel the gear coming up. It's still coming up. I can feel it. Look at that. Okay, gear's up, and it got smoother. So obviously, when the gear doors are open and when the gear is out, there's a lot more air hitting that, like turbulent air and everything, and you're gonna feel that. I mean, you can even feel it like if you're a passenger in a plane. Right when the gear fully went up, I could feel it get much smoother. That was super cool. This will be interesting though. I'm typically terrible at landing the A320, so I'm interested to see how I do. Also, another thing you have to remember, in any normal stick that's not controlled by motors, you're going to get that center position where it wants to be, and crossing that center position has like not a thump, but kind of a thump. I don't know if that makes sense. This doesn't have that. So this is perfectly smooth no matter where you are. And like in my Thrustmaster Warthog, the longer I've had it, the more, I don't know if sticky is the right word, but it's harder to make super minute adjustments because it's getting older. I'm sure I could, you know, lubricate it to fix that. But this, in theory, should never get that because it's just a motor controlling everything. We're gonna loop around here and again, just do a landing. The whole point of this is just to see what it's like flying, of course. So far, I mean, the approach is feeling pretty good. After this one, we will try a fighter in here, and then we'll go over to DCS and compare it to what it would be like flying a fighter in DCS. Focus, Aaron.
30, 20, 10, 5.
Ooh. Not the best, also not the worst. There's reverse thrust. And as you probably know from just flying on planes normally, you really feel the reverse thrust. So I wish that was like a, you know what I mean? That actually wasn't too bad. We didn't kill anyone. So that's what matters. Okay, let's try a fighter in Microsoft Flight Sim, and then we'll see what it feels like in DCS. So here we are, F-14, Microsoft Flight Sim. Getting some flaps. This should actually be pretty cool. Park and brake off. Accelerating.
Feel like flying.
Oh yeah, I felt a little rumble there. Come on, baby. Yeah. Gear up.
220 flaps up.
Oh, this feels crazy. This is cool. Oh, I don't want to crash. This is freaking cool. Honestly, just the vibration itself with not even considering the feedback feels really cool. But I have a feeling, well, let's try to like crank a lot of G's. See, I don't feel a lot of like buffeting or anything. Let's see if we stall what it feels like.
Does caution mean something?
So nothing too, obviously you get vibration and all that. We can pull out of this, come on. Oh, ye of little faith, look at that. He ejected for no reason. But we'll see if DCS feels much better, then we know that might be a Microsoft issue, which should only get better. 150 knots. A little floaty. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Not too bad. Okay. Now, Let's see what DCS is like. We are loaded into DCS, and like I said before, we did the preset for the F16, and as you can see, you can see my control surfaces moving, but the stick barely moves, which is really cool. But here we go. F16, see what this takeoff feels like. There's 120 knots, 140, 150. We're very heavy. Oh yeah. There we go. Oh, I thought maybe I don't have gear bound either. Oh no. I may not have gear bound either, but we're gonna see what this feels like. Off the bat, not much feedback. And obviously we're in an F16, so maybe I should get in a different plane that would give me better feedback. Let's see if I can land this thing, guys. Horrible approach, we're just gonna make it happen. 202 knots. I've said this and I'll say it again. Landing in DCS is easier than landing in Microsoft Flight Sim. I don't know why. Like, the first landing I ever did in DCS was just easy, and then, like, that was a horrible approach, but the landing was pretty simple. Okay, so the MOZA base, I think there are a few force feedback things that could be implemented to make it better. It's great. Like the general aviation plane, I had almost no complaints except the feel on the ground. And that's kind of for most of the planes. If the feel on the ground could be made a little better, and I've updated the firmware and everything, so everything is up to date as much as it can be. So that's not the issue. And it's not like an issue. It's just, it could be better. If you're super dedicated to flight sims and immersion is all you care about, I think using this with like a VR headset would be wildly cool. But as it sits, the ground feel could definitely be better, and certain things in the air could definitely feel better, but it's unmatched as far as immersion compared to like a Thrustmaster Warthog. So buy it at your own discretion. Is it cool? Yes. Is it worth $700 and some? It's up to you.